AITA for refusing to divide my will amongst my grandchildren instead of my children. Hi. I F65 have 2 children. M50 and F41. Both married. My son has 1 child. My daughter has 4. I have talked to my children about being my emergency contact etc. now that I lost my common law husband a year ago. My daughter then told me that it wasn't fair that I'm leaving my estate split in half between her and my son because she had 4 children. I don't agree, AITA. I'm very sorry about your husband. Half seems fair to your children, and they can divide their portion among their children as they see fit. To look at it from the other side, why should your son get less than half because his sister had 4 children and he only had 1? NTA. By that logic, if your son didn't have any kids, it would be unfair to leave him a single penny. NTA. Your will, your choice. NTA. It is natural that you split it between your children. Your daughter is greedy and trying to get a bigger slice of the pie for her family. I would split it in 2 but leave her share split between her 4 kids since she is so keen that grandkids inherit rather than her. NTA. She's a runner-up for his week's AITA Most Entitled Daughter Award. The one who will benefit the most complained about your decision. She's okay justifying procreation trumps relationships and equity. It is her responsibility, not yours, to create, manage, and pass on an inheritance to her children. You are enabling her to do so with a generous gift when you pass. She does not get to pick or lobby the gift. This is your money. Do as you wish. I applaud your decision. Parents who give more assets to a child with the most kids as inconsiderate and signaling offspring are assigned value based on expanding the lineage. NTA. Your daughter didn't say she wanted your will split amongst the grandchildren, which is what I expected from the post. Instead, your daughter is telling you that she wants a greater portion of your estate because she has more kids. In other words, she's using her kids as an excuse to be greedy. You might be tempted to intentionally misunderstand and change the will to leave 50% to your son and 12.5% to each of daughter's children, with son in charge of the grandkids' money until they are 18. At least, I would be tempted to do that. My mother's will, trust states that her estate is to be divided equally between my sister and I. I asked her several months ago what happens to my half, should I pass before her, as I do have a medical condition that could actually cause this to happen. She said in the case of my passing first, my half goes directly to my daughter. Should my sister pass before her, my sister's half would be divided between her 3 children, as it should be. She worked for a family law attorney for decades and made sure her will, estate and the trust were taken care of fairly, at least in her view. NTA. Split it 50-50. You're responsible for 2 kids, your son and your daughter. You are not responsible for the grandchildren. They are their parents' responsibility. Your daughter sounds entitled. Don't fold at the end. It was her choice to have 4 children. I am sorry. The amount of people that are vultures when relatives die is insane. If I could choose between the things I will inherit and my grandma living, I would want my grandma to live forever. NTA. Though 50-50 is fair. My parents have me and my sister. She has 3 kids, I have 2. My parents are gifting 10% to each grandchild and then 25% to each of us. Am I having a hissy fit about it because they are getting more? No, because for that to happen my parents are dead. I'd rather have them, and I've told them I don't want the money. Spend it on themselves before they die. NTA. NTA. You had 2 children. You didn't dictate how many children she should have. That's her problem. So sorry for your loss. NTA. You have 2 kids, it should be split 50-50 amongst your children. She doesn't get more because she has more kids. NTA. That is the traditional method of dividing one's estate. Per Sturpes. Sounds like daughter has an unfortunate case of the greedies. Dividing by 5 instead of 2 would give your daughter extra points for contributing to overpopulation. When my mom was in her 80s, Dad had sadly passed decades before. I encouraged her to spend her estate and not worry about passing it on to us kids. Although it was nice as one of the kids to ultimately have an inheritance, I wished she had been less frugal and had had more fun. NTA. It's your decision, but sharing it equally between your children is the fairest thing to do. Your daughter sounds like she's trying to manipulate you into giving her more money, using the grandchildren as an excuse. If she cannot financially afford her 4 children, that's on her, not you and not your son. NTA. Inheritance is typically split among your immediate offspring. You have 2, so it's split in half. It sounds like your daughter is demanding more because she chose to have 4 instead of 1. That's her problem, and she needs to remember that it's yours to decide on. Let her know that you can choose to just leave it to your son instead of splitting it. That should shock some sense into her head. Her procreation choices do not entitle her to anything. NTA. Your daughter should be grateful for anything she receives. She chose to have 4 kids. InTA. It's your estate to do with as you see fit. It sounds like you are leaving it to your children, not splitting it per person, which is your right. If your daughter is claiming her share should be more because she has more kids, the same argument can be made that it's unfair your son gets less because he has less kids. NTA. People getting upset over a will, in almost every circumstance, is really gross emo. It's your life, your legacy, and it's not boiled down to who gets what once you're gone. The totality of your existence does not hinge on what you leave behind and to who. Decide how you want to leave things. Whatever choice you're happy with. Hopefully once you're gone, people will focus on celebrating your life instead of being worried about what they gain from your death. NTA. The grandchildren are their parents' responsibility. Split it equally between the 2 adult children, and they can then give something to their children at that time. NTA. Your money, your choice. Your daughter sounds greedy. She chose to have 4 kids. It's her responsibility to provide for them, not yours.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.